All right, so next we want to be able to, when users click on this icon here, the action button more, we want to populate or show a dialog that has something like this, right? Favorites, about, settings. Okay. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, we have to think about it. So in order for us to show something like this, in order for us to show a dialog, we need to create a state. Now, all of that has to happen inside of our app bar. So if you go, let's go and find our weather app bar. There it is. Let's open it. So in our weather app bar here, we want to make sure to create a state variable at the top here. And let's say val show dialog. And it's going to be a remember. And it's going to be mutable state of false to start with. Okay, we'll have to import remember as such. So in the beginning, this show dialog is going to be false. But when do we change that? Well, we change that when we click, of course, on the icon. Where is that? Well, the icon is here, the more icon. So I'm going to say show dialog, that value, it's going to be true. This is just to remind you that when it comes to showing dialogues in Compose, you have to go through this very strange process. If you ask me, it's just a little bit strange, but that's what we have. That's what we have to do. So we need to have a state of showing and not showing it. So on or off. Okay. So now we're going to put an if statement here to say if show dialog is true, so say that value, if it's true, you can just say like that, then that's where we're going to invoke the show setting drop down menu. Yes, a long name, but it's going to work. So for this one, I'm going to actually pass the show dialog. Okay. Going to be our show dialog state, and I'm going to also pass our nav controller. Like this. You will see why. Let's go ahead and create this composable at the bottom there. Very good. It even gave us this mutable state. Mutable state, that's very good. Let's go ahead and import. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to create this structure here, the actual body of the dialog. For that, I'm going to put inside of a column, pattern modifier, fill max width, and the next thing I'm going to do, let's say wrap content size. Okay, and I'm going to say top. So alignment, I want to put that at the top. So alignment, top end, that is. And then I'm going to add what we call the absolute padding so that it doesn't change depending on other factors. So for the top, I'm going to give an absolute padding of about 45 dp. Right is going to be about 20.dp. Now, inside of our column here, I'm going to invoke the drop-down menu. Now, the drop-down menu, as you see, now drop-down menu is a composable that we get from Compose, which is very awesome, as you see here. And so it will require a few things. So first of all, the expanded variable here, which is a Boolean. So this will control whether we're showing it or not. We have to create here another variable called expanded. I'm going to say by remember, like this, mutable state, say true in the beginning like that. Now we have to import a few things to make this work. There we go. And so this expanded is going to be called there as a state. Now, on this miss request, what are we going to do? We're going to set our expanded, I should say, to false, because we want to dismiss. That means expanded is going to be false, which is a state, and then it's going to be dismissed. Okay, that's what we need to add. Now, because drop menu is just like any other composable, we can also pass a modifier here. So I'm going to say modifier, and I'm going to give a width of this modifier of drop down, right, of about 140 dp. Let's give a background. Just give a white background as such. Let's see if this works as it is so far. Voila, it's working. That's good. You click. It's not very eventful, but you saw that working there. Okay, no problem. All right, so next what we want to do is we want to, of course, show each one of these items, which are actually clickable items, right? How do we do that? Well, to simplify our lives, I'm going to create a list of all those items, okay? So I'm going to say val items. It's going to be a list of elements of such. And then first I'm going to say favorites, okay? And then about. In fact, let's just start with about, like this. And then favorites. And then last, we're going to have settings like this. So what I'm going to do then here, I'm going to use all of those. I'm going to say items, right? I'm going to use a for each with index, for each index as such. And so we're going to have index, and we're going to have the actual text, right? Could be S, could be anything. Let's just say S, that's fine. Text is fine. And then this is where I'm going to call a drop down menu item, because remember, each one of these is going to be a menu item, drop down as such. And let's see, let's make this a lambda, because that's going to help our case, like that. There we go. And each drop-down menu will have, of course, on click event. And what we want to do inside of the click event, we're going to say expanded, set that to false, and then we're going to say show dialog, that value, and set that to false as well. So essentially, once we click on either one of these, we're going to get rid of this dialog. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at creating these items there. So, all right, so now let's go ahead and create each one of these items. Because remember, we are inside of the for loop really here. So we're going to create now this one of each one of these, right? Now, because I know there are 3 different rows per se right here, what I'm going to do for the icon, I'm going to say create an icon like this. And for the image description, or content description, let's say null for now. But now for each one of this image, because I want different images or different icons, right? I need to check to see which one of these, if it's favorite, about, or settings, right? If it's favorite, then I'm going to have a heart. If it's about, I'm going to have this information, and then this tool thing there for settings. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to use a when statement real quick here. I'm going to pass the text, because this text is going to be what? It's going to be each one of these texts that we have in our list. So depending on the text, if it's about, first, the icon, it's going to be icons.default. I'm going to add info. Okay. Let's import. Now, if in the end case is favorites, then icons.default, and say favorite bordered like this. And then else, we just have one more case really. I'm just going to say it's going to be icons.default settings, like that. We don't need commas, right? And let's add a tint color for each one of these. I'm going to say color dot light gray. Let's put a comma. That. And then right below that, or actually all to the right, I'm going to add a text. So essentially, now I'm adding this text here, this part. And for text, it's going to be text, right? Remember, we're inside of a for loop, so it will know to grab the correct text. So modifier. I'm going to make this clickable. And because it's still a text, say font weight. So 300. Let's say font weight 300. That's fine. Okay. We did a lot of things. Let's go ahead and see if this works. Let's go ahead and run. Okay. You can see it works. Okay. Let's click. There we go. Say about. And you click somewhere outside the actual menu items, it goes away. Okay, so it's working.